So when I first watched this film, I think what impressed me the most, and I was telling Nelson this outside, is that when you watch this film, you really walk away feeling like, wow, I think I know what Llama and Locho are like, and that's such a unique feeling to have after watching a documentary. I mean, usually when you watch documentaries, you kind of feel like you skim the surface of characters and personalities, but you guys really were able to enter, I think, the privacy and the private space of this couple and really understand their life and their lifestyle. So I found that really unique. And Nelson was just telling me outside, the project took 3 years to complete, 2 years of which they spent on translation work, which I found fascinating as well. So maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we spent about 3 months out in Summer Pasture filming the movie, and then got back to New York where we had about 200 hours of raw footage that we thought would not be that difficult to get through since we've worked on films in foreign languages before, and only to realize that the nomadic dialect spoken in this area was not an easy language to simply find translators to do the subtitling work for us. So it did take over a year to translate everything and subtitle the material to be able to edit the film, and then another year plus to actually find some story out of these 200 hours of yaks roaming around and, you know, off-the-cuff conversations that we, you know, filmed of Locho and Llama. So it was a long process, definitely. Oh, Nelson just wanted me to add, it took so long to translate the material because in New York, we tried a number of different, we tried to find people who could be the direct translators of the footage, because that was our experience, that you just find someone who understands the language and can do the English right off the bat, but we never found that one perfect person. So what we did find were a few people, I think 3 or 4, who understood the nomadic dialect, but whose English was not quite strong enough to do the English translation. But we did figure out a system whereby we would pair the one person who understood the dialect and who could work with another Tibetan person who had stronger English skills. And so they would work in teams of 2 and have like dual headsets, watching a laptop, and the person who understood the nomadic dialect would listen and then chat with the Tibetan friend who spoke better English, who would then input the English subtitles. So it was like this elaborate game of telephone, and, you know, in an 8-hour span, these teams would maybe be able to process 20 minutes of footage. So it just was a really, really tedious, long process.
I'm curious to know how you came to meet Llama and Locho. I'm assuming over the course of 3 years when you filmed the project, you became very close with them. I'm also interested to know how you managed to gain the trust of these 2 individuals in your documentary.
I'll do the first part, which is just we met Locho and Llama through our co-filmmaker Sirang Perlo, who's from this area in Tibet. And this is where he grew up, and we had met Perlo on a previous trip to Tibet, and we're all the same age, and we just hit it off, and he is a young, very ambitious, talented Tibetan who was kind of transitioning out of his role at working for NGOs in Tibet, and he wanted to launch his own organization that supported filmmaking in Tibet by Tibetans. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to collaborate, and so we returned a year after first meeting him, and he took us to his hometown because we thought a film about a nomadic community would be really interesting, and he took us back to Zachika and had called ahead to his cousin who was a nomad to bring out, you know, enough yaks and horses to transport all of our gear to Summer Pasture. It's a 6-hour horseback ride to get to their encampment. And so the cousin he called ahead to was Locho. So Locho arrived with his yaks and horses one morning and led us out to the pasture, and that's how we first met Locho, and we loved him right away. He was a total chatterbox and didn't stop talking for the 6 hours from the roadside to the camp. And when we met Llama, and we loved her as well because she was so much a contrast, and the baby, and it just kind of went from there. But in terms of gaining their trust, Delson?
I mean, a big part of it is actually that Locho was Sierra and Carol's cousin. So from the start, even when, well, even to backtrack a little, when we went out to the pasture, we knew that we wanted to make some sort of project about nomad life, but we weren't really sure what form that would take, whether we would be filming with a lot of different families or filming with just one family. And immediately Locho was very open and talkative, and both he and Yama were comfortable around the camera. I think that initial sort of feeling of discomfort really came from Carlo's relationship with them. They knew that there's an initial trust there. But also filming with Locho and Yama, who hadn't had a lot of experience with film crews or cameras or media in general. One thing that we really tried to do was to be transparent and open about what we were doing and what our process was. What we actually did was we started screening the footage that we were filming of them for them, and gave them access to watch whatever we were recording. And then also on the backs of our yaks that brought all of our equipment out there, they brought out a generator and projector, and actually started projecting the footage that we were shooting sort of near in the evenings near their tent, and other nomads from the community would come and watch the footage. And that was really important because it gave Locho and Yama to sort of see themselves in front of their community and the people who mattered to them, and sort of, I think, gave them a better understanding of what it meant to be seen. So when we said we were going to be making a film that would be seen, back here that would be seen internationally, that they had a better sense of what that would be. And then on top of that, we even asked them what they felt was important to film, and they actually were really instrumental in telling us what they wanted. So, for example, the scene of the community meeting was something that Locho brought to our attention and said, "This is really important that you film," and he negotiated the permission for it. So, they were actually an active part of what you see on screen. And that worked the other way as well. There were things of them that we filmed that we screened for them, and screened even for their community, that they said, we don't really feel very comfortable with that. We'd rather that you not put it in the film. And there's things we left out. So I think just what we really tried to do is create this environment where they were involved in the process, and that I think really helped build trust with them.
I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much to the two of you, and congratulations on your Canadian premiere tonight. Thank you.